Cesspool Podcast, number one Christian-based podcast out of Holt, Missouri. It's Jay Foss, El Tejon. All right, so Trump trial. What's your thoughts on this? We do have to preface this by saying this is June 1st because a lot of shit, could come out
right
at any time.
Got convicted on May 30th, so 2 days ago is when the verdict was handed down. Guilty on 34 accounts in a trial where nobody could actually define the crime. I think they were trying to base it off of an FEC statute as a campaign violation. But they didn't clearly define it. The jury wasn't given instructions on how to handle any federal crime because who was putting on the trial was the state of New York. It wasn't the feds. It wasn't the Department of Justice. It was District Attorney Alvin Bragg. And so the Judge Merchant, he's real fucking weird. He put a gag on Trump, which was somewhat unconstitutional. I've never seen, I guess they fined him like 10 or 12 times.
Like just for comments he would say after?
Comments that he would say outside the court. And he fined him thousands of dollars, threatened to put him in jail. It was strange. It was very, very strange. And then, every single time the prosecution would object to something, the judge would sustain it. The defense couldn't object to anything. It would always be overruled. They tried to bring in a guy who used to be the commissioner of the FEC. The judge wouldn't allow it because he would testify to how the FEC never fined Trump because they didn't see it as a statutory violation. But the judge wouldn't let him testify. He said that wouldn't be admissible. And it's just all kinds of weird shit left and right. And now Trump's been found guilty on 34 different felonies, facing, I don't know, something like 187 years in prison. Something insane like that. It was so weird. Such a strange trial. Such a sham. And an obvious travesty of justice. And I know all the lefty retards out there, the insane legal scholars and keyboard warriors will be like, oh, Badger's such a fucking maggot nut job. But I don't care. It was a dumb trial. Dumb outcome. Election interference. You're just trying to keep this guy off the campaign trail. Trying to paint him as a felon so you can change people's minds about the votes. That's all this is. I guarantee you whenever they come to the sentencing on June 11th, they're not going to sentence him to jail. All they want to do is paint him as a felon.
Do you really think that would be a smart thing to do? They said that would actually be really kind of a dangerous thing to do. It could really trigger. It could set off like a key of events.
Well, how do you do that? I mean, number one, I think the Secret Service has jurisdiction over this. I think they could say, hey, you know what? We can't protect the president in Rikers. So no, we're not going to do jail time. Okay? You can do house arrest for a few months at Mar-a-Lago or whatever, and then...
That's what you assume will happen, probably.
You would think, community service, pay a fine, go on with your life.
Yeah, maybe like a $700 million fine or whatever, though. Aren't they fining? They're fining them as much money as they possibly can on everything.
Well, they're going over the statute. I mean, there's in the Constitution. There's an amendment that says they can't charge you with outrageous fines or, outrageous sentences for crimes. Like you steal somebody's bike, they can't just put you to death.
Yeah.
That'd be
That'd be pretty Middle Eastern of them.
Right. A little over the top. But they tried to charge him like $434 million for the supposed fraud that he committed, where there was another weird trial where there was no actual victim. So there was no crime committed, but yet, oh, you're guilty of fraud. Here's a $434 or $454 million, fine that you have to pay. Well, if there's no victim, where does the money go? To the state of New York? Was the state of New York harmed? No, the state of New York made a fat tax revenue check from the bank over the business it did with Trump.
Yeah, that's when they're trying to get Trump Tower from him and just
Right. I think they want to start stealing his properties. But keep in mind, Trump has been involved in the development of I want to say right around 25% of modern day New York City. He's been involved in a lot. He's built that city up. He's made a lot of money off of real estate, but the city is rich because of it.
How wild would it be to actually be on the side of people doing this to another person? Because there are people all over social media every day that are just excited. They're pumped that this happened.
It's so strange.
It's very odd.
You know, I don't even wish this on Biden. I wish Biden would just go away, like fade off into the sunset. Don't be involved in politics anymore because you have shitty ideas anyways. You always have, but just go away. Like you're about to die.
Okay, but he means naturally.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't want somebody to do something. I just want him to go and live out the rest of his days peacefully without being involved in the political shit.
Yeah, sucking on ice creams and
cool
cocks or whatever else.
Oh my God, that's
but
a little.
Well, when you were talking like these people that are pumped, you know, like De Niro's weird ass.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
the guy's unhinged. You know, he's out there saying, "I don't want to scare you." Well,
and not a good guy himself. We've talked about him in the past on this show.
But I mean, he was out there with the Biden campaign team, so I'm sure they hit him up and they wanted, because Biden can't go out and talk about it. They have to paint the picture that they are.
They got their soldiers out there.
Yeah, they're separated. The Biden camp or the Biden administration is separate from this trial that happened. They don't have anything to do with it. Even though we all know that Alvin Bragg, Letitia James, this district attorney Fannie Willis down in Georgia, they've all met with White House counsel before these prosecutions ever got filed in court. We know it. There's coordination there. It screams coordination. None of them are clean. You know, very odd shit going on. But yeah, Robert De Niro's out there, you know, trying to pump up the Biden team by saying, oh, you know, you can't elect this guy. You can't trust him. It's going to be tyranny all over again, and you're going to lose all your rights. It's just like we already did 4 years
ago. Is that what happened?
Yeah. What rights did we lose whenever he was president? Did you lose any rights?
I got a better tax return. I know that.
Oh, that's nice.
That feels pretty good.
Yeah.
My life was better.
Lower immigration, illegal immigration, that is.
The speeches were awesome.
I mean, Trump isn't a great speaker, but he's funny.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
I think it's...
I mean, how many times do you hear like, oh, the president's going to speak, and you're like, I don't fucking care. But when it was... Trump is like...
Well, he just always says something wacky. He has such a colorful personality.
Not just always that. I mean, even now, he's like, if I get back in, I'm going to do this. Like, he's already going into whenever debates are, which is kind of funny if you talk about debates, because Biden already wants it not to be at a, past noon or...
Right, it can't be too early in the morning.
Certain stuff. Like, is that really a debate? You know what I mean? Like, elementary school debates are crazier than what you want,
Yeah.
Very strange.
Well, I think that's what he wants to avoid is the elementary school debate, because Trump will go after him about all kinds of personal shit, which is on a lot of people's minds anyways. Look at what you're doing to him, but your son Hunter, who's no expert in anything, is traversing all over the world and representing people as a lawyer, and then he's an executive on a board for an oil and gas company. He has no experience in the industry. Just getting millions of dollars from real estate people in China. It's just weird. They form all kinds of shell companies, and they don't get investigated. Trump's going through this trial down in Florida where it's about his classified documents. Well, where all did they find classified documents of Biden's? I mean, they're at the University of Delaware in an unlocked office. They're in a box behind his Corvette. They're in his drawer in his bedroom of his home. He had some other ones in another residence. I mean, it's just he had classified documents all over the place.
Yeah, tucked in a Geritol bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah, in his Depends.
Well, those were some soiled documents.
Werther's Originals bags.
Yeah.
Anyway, you said earlier about, they're trying to paint Trump as a felon and just kind of, trying to put a stain on his name, which is, I mean, shit that was going on before he was president. And it's happened throughout this whole, even when he wasn't president, we still talk about him, right? So it's just, trying to deter people from voting for him, or
Right. Well,
has that worked?
No, because you know what happened after Trump was convicted of 34 felonies on May 30th?
People got...
Within 18 hours, his website crashed, his donation page. He amassed over $34.8 million worth of donations. It's the largest single-day donation ever in the history of politics. It's crazy. Now he's got a 6-point bump in his popularity in polling.
They said it's soaring.
Yeah, it's completely backfiring because now you even have liberals that you remember Michael Rappaport, actor, huge anti-Trump guy. He was worse than Robert De Niro whenever Trump was first in office.
I remember his weird Twitter videos. He's annoying too.
Right. Well, now he's singing a different tune. He's wanting to sit down and do interviews and say, "Hey, I'm not voting for Biden." He said Trump's in play. As much as you may not like the guy on a personal level.
What, just because the last 4 years have been total shit?
Total dog shit. Total dog shit. Well, and it's whenever it comes to Hollywood, what's making a difference is what's going on over in the Middle East right now with Israel and Hamas. And we see the weird contradictions that the administration has whenever it's handling both parties.
Yeah.
It's strange. And you have a lot of Jewish Americans that are either executives in Hollywood or they're actors or they're producers or directors. And there's a lot of the shit that doesn't sit well with them. Even though they may be wild lefty individuals, they still have hearts and minds for their homeland. And they hate it. They hate inflation. They hate whenever they have to spend more money than they make, which I don't know if that's affecting too many people in Hollywood. I mean, it's killing us here in the Midwest. But there's just a whole host of things that's been going on with government over the last 3.5 years that people aren't happy about. Your gasoline you put in your car has increased. Food has increased. Housing has increased. Inflation is through the roof. The amount of illegals that are coming into the country, they get free health care. They get free food. They get free housing. They get free education. And you and I have to pay for it through either taxes or just inflation, right? You're gonna let them vote because they're passing laws to let illegals vote. They issue them licenses because they say they want to be able to know who's in their state or their city.
Well, they're just hoping that there's more Democrats.
Well, yeah, that's the other part of it, the great replacement theory, which Democrats say isn't happening, but then they go and say it out loud that they need more voices in their district. But whenever they register them to vote, they also, or not register them to vote, whenever they get driver's licenses, they automatically get registered to vote. And that's kind of the danger. They call it motor voter law or some shit. But yeah, it's so strange. And
I love motorboating.
It's fun, especially with men. But it's a lot of the stuff that this administration has done. It's absolutely why. If you wanted to do something right and you had binary choices, how is it that this administration always picks the wrong one?
Cesspool, the best podcast, and I'm headed out west to Sacramento as I'm baby.
Why the hell would you vote for these people? Just in hopes that it gets turned around or at least softened a little bit. Just that simple, everyday life. Why the fuck would you vote Democrat again?
Your normal average American shouldn't. About half of us won't. But then you got some real fucking weirdos with some Stockholm syndrome that just can't break themselves loose away from the Democrat Party. Whatever fucking idiot they decide to put up there. Kamala Harris. Could you imagine Kamala Harris? She was, whenever she originally ran in, when was that? 2020, yeah. When she ran in the primaries, and she was the first one out of the primaries for the Democrats because she's so highly unliked within the Democrat Party. Imagine all the fake votes they have to come with her to get her over the finish line.
Oh, they would have to close polls and really work on that number.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be insane. Absolutely insane.
But even if you're one of these women that just want to get, 4 abortions a year or whatever, so you got to go off those certain things. Still, how are you getting by just on an everyday regular life when you're not getting, plowed through?
Okay, so the women that's worried about that, you bring up another statistic there. That's one issue. Abortion is one issue, and just like you said, there's so many other issues that affect your day-to-day life rather than abortion issues. Okay, inflation is huge, which affects the prices of everything. Interest rates, your ability to buy a home or to buy a used car or a new car. New cars have better interest rates, but they're expensive as fuck. Used cars have better prices, but the interest rates are expensive as fuck. So you're in a catch-22 there. But that's the problem with single issue voters. You're talking about that Democrats love the low information people because they hope that they're only relying on one issue, that they can hit that little nerve.
Well, a lot of them do. Homosexuals are only worried about
LGBT rights.
They go to the hood and they're like, "Hey, you need your benefits, right?" That's it's like,
right.
Okay, you get your benefits. You're never going to have a car.
Right.
You're homeless.
What are Democrats doing for the black community? What's Biden do?
I mean, they never have, or it would have been a lot better for them by now.
True.
In 2024.
Okay, so Biden's.
It's not like black people just popped up.
No, you're exactly right. But Biden's his campaign idea is to go into these communities, and he tries to relate to them. And what's the first thing that comes out of his mouth is how he was raised in a black community church. I don't know if this was before or after he was raised in the Greek community, or before and after he was raised in the synagogue in the Jewish community, or before and after he was a truck driver.
Pentecostal, he was handling snakes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Southern Baptist.
Yeah, he's just everywhere.
But he goes in and he's like, his only talking points is Donald Trump is a racist and they want to put you all back in chains. Right? Now, to any intelligent individual, you kind of hear that and you're like, what the fuck is this? Like, slavery's been done for, what, since 1854 or 1852? What the fuck are we talking about?
Biden, he was kind of born in that era, so he knows it.
Right. Knows it intimately. Yeah. That was between, driving a truck in the 1850s.
Yeah.
When he was on the lam.
Yeah.
But it's any person with a brain cell can look at that and say the issues that you're talking about hasn't been an issue since 170 years now. Like what we want to know is, how are you going to clean up our communities? How are we going to get rid of the gangs? How are we going to invest back here to bring in better schools, better teachers, businesses that will drive up tax revenue?
Speaking of, so we're in Kansas City, Missouri. And one of the most biggest scumbag pieces of trash is Emmanuel Cleaver. He always comes out with his little rhetoric. Especially, he came out with a little.
Yeah, and it has to be race baiting.
Yeah, well, of course, but he was our mayor here. Man, he did well, right? I mean, here in this city where we're always top murder. We're up there. We're top 10 for sure, but we don't know if we'll be 5 or 1. We just don't know how we're feeling.
It really took off when we had Sly James.
Well, yes, but I mean, what I'm saying is he didn't do it. He's a domino.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
He didn't do good here, but then he gets a DC job?
Right, yeah. He got elected to, I think he's House of Reps.
What the hell?
Right.
This city's shit.
Yeah.
You know what we do at Super Bowl parades?
Apparently we like to we like to shoot people now. Which is crazy because we don't have a whole lot of Super Bowl parades. We've had 3 in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I mean,
4 since 1969.
yeah. But I mean, anyway, what I'm saying is like coming from him, he didn't like leave this city awesome, and then here he is.
No.
And he was one of the Jan 6 people that was like they were beating down my door, but he didn't know, his stories were so conflicting
Right.
From interview to interview. His door was locked, his door wasn't locked, he was there, he wasn't there, his feet were propped, or they weren't, or you know what I mean? The hot sauce was there, maybe it wasn't.
No, it was in Hillary Clinton's purse.
It was, yeah, that's where he keeps it.
Yes. But you remember whenever they passed Obamacare and the huge scandal with the manual cleaver?
I don't.
Whenever they come walking out of the house and they had a bunch of protesters on the steps outside the house, outside the Capitol, he got spit on by some protester. Whenever they went back and watched the video, like they said that we never saw any spit, right? So another fake scandal. But that's typical Emmanuel Cleaver right there. He's always played the victim.
That's what I'm saying, but we know him kind of intimately because he was here. Yeah. So that's the only reason I bring him up. Yeah. So just another scumbag puppet mannequin for the Democrats. Right. It's just sick. I don't know. This whole thing has been a little bit sick. But I mean, listen. Again, we'll say it. And I mean, Trump, maybe not the greatest guy there is.
Yeah, he's got some shady business practices he's been involved in.
But you guys being such scumbags, and I'm talking about, the other party, you've allowed this guy to come in and be what he is.
Well, you loved him. How do you do anything in New York City? It's Democrat controlled, right?
Yeah.
Don't you have to grease the wheels to make shit operate in New York City?
Oh, I'm sure. Silver tongue or be
yeah.
connected.
And that's Trump was a Democrat for years before he was ever a Republican.
Yeah.
Right? And honestly, he had to be a Democrat in order to be in real estate there. They'd have never allowed him to be a Republican buying up land out there. They would have done something illegal to get rid of him, or they just would have found a fake crime to get him charged with. Right? So I understand where Trump's coming from. Younger guy, enamored in the industry, making money, and decided he wanted to be a Democrat. And he rubbed elbows with all those guys. The guy, how long has he done business in New York City? 40 years now? Never ever been even accused of a crime. But now that he's a Republican and he's calling people out, man, 91 indictments. You guys are overplaying your hand. Yeah.
So, I mean, what do you foresee happening here? Do you think? Do you think he makes it to the end here? It's gonna be a busy year though.
Right. From here on out, the news cycle is going to be nutty because you got a bunch of pissed off Republicans, and not just Republicans. You have a bunch of pissed off red-blooded Americans that don't like what they're seeing. And it's not that it's Trump; it could be anybody but Trump, and they would be like, "Oh fuck no." I seen one guy.
I mean, you're getting into like martyr territory here.
Yeah.
And is that what you're really wanting?
That'd be the last thing you want to do with Trump. Why would you want to stick him in prison? Why would you even want to do that? The best thing that you can do is let this thing go now. That'd be the best thing you can do. And then try to hammer home the whole felony status, which isn't going to work because now that he's a felon, he's seen a bump in his numbers, which is strange. But I think people are just sick of it. They're fed up. We watch what's been happening to the country ever since Barack Obama was elected.
We have a felon on this show.
I don't know.
I won't mention who it is because they'll...
Sean?
Fuck yeah.
Gary?
Probably.
Sprague?
All of them.
All of them?
Fuck
Everyone
us.
Except for us?
Yeah, not us.
Not us at all.
I don't know. I was getting frisked up by cops with Gary pretty bad that one night, but I mean, we won't talk about it.
I mean, you're not complaining, are you?
No.
I actually pull up to cops and ask them if they can frisk me.
Yeah.
Listen, no alleged crime. I don't care. I just want to be frisked.
I started taking off my clothes.
By a man in uniform.
Mm-hmm.
It's hot. It's very hot.
And then the canines got involved. My God.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it went bestiality too.
Yeah.
My God, you're an animal.
How was that night? At least this part of it's over. I mean, there's still going to be more to come. I have, I really have zero clue how the Biden family's even in office at the moment. But whatever. It's these things. What's crazy is if he does lose, and I don't know how he will because there's going to be so many ghost votes and all this. I don't see how he can lose. But we'll see. But I'm also got some PTSD from 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago. So
Right.
I could see if he did lose, then everything coming out against him. You know what I mean? They'd be like, "Oh, did you know Hunter Biden did blah 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 Ukraine blah blah blah? Did you know that?" And you'd be like, "What?
You don't say.
What?"
Because we've been talking about it for years.
Yeah. So I mean, I could totally see that happening. So,
Oh yeah. That hindsight's always 20/20 with people,
yeah, absolutely.
or it's revisionist history.